Welcome back. It's Mrs. Wright here. Today we're going to be reading our last story for this unit on farms. It's called From Farm to Market. We're going to discuss a little bit last time the seasons of farming and why farmers grow, remember? And now we're going to talk a little bit about the food people eat. We're going to talk a little bit about how it gets to the market where you might buy it. And then we're going to talk a little bit about why we need it. Now, today we're going to start with our vocabulary words. The first word is the word canning, sealing food in an airtight container for future use. We have been canning beans all weekend. Raise your hand if you've ever done canning or your mom has ever done canning or dad. The next vocabulary word we have is earn, to get something by working for it. My older sister babysits to earn extra spending money. Earn, to get something by working for it. The next word is the word livestock. Those are farm animals. The farmer takes care of his livestock. The next word is processed. That means prepared. The wheat was processed to make flour. That means it was prepared into flour. And the last word is the word spoil. The food will spoil if left in the hot sun. All right, today we're going to talk a little bit about from farm to market. We already know that farmers grow crops for food for people and animals. Listen carefully to our story today and see if you can learn more about how farm crops become food for people. This is a farm family of a long time ago. Look at this picture. Long ago, most people in the United States lived and worked on small farms. Back then, farm families got all the food they needed from the crops and livestock they raised right there on their own farms. Remember, livestock is another word for farm animals. They not only ate their own vegetables, fruits, and meats, they also made their own bread, butter, and cheese using products from the farm. Here on my farm, we make a lot of things that most people buy at the supermarket or other stores. For instance, instead of eating everything as soon as we harvest, we pack some of our produce in glass jars. This is called canning. We make our own canned beans, beets, and pears. Unlike fresh fruits and vegetables, even if you keep them in a refrigerator, canned foods will not spoil. Canned food will not rot or go bad as quickly. It will remain edible for months and even years to come. Long, long ago, farm families made their own butter in a butter churn. We still have a butter churn on our farm, but it is just for decoration. This right here, students, is a butter churn. See that right there in the picture? We don't use it anymore, but back then, someone would pour some milk into the churn and switch it up and down and all around with the stick. It took a while and it was hard work, but eventually the milk got churned and whipped so much that it thickened and turned into butter. Sometimes just for fun, we still make our own ice cream using a machine like a butter churn. We use fresh milk from the cows and churn it in a special ice cream machine. It takes a while to make, but it sure tastes good. All right. This picture is of Old MacDonald emptying his grocery bags. But most farmers, including me, do not grow or make everything they need for their families on their own farms. I do not grow coconuts or mangoes or pineapples, but I do like to eat them. Nor do I raise turkeys, but I eat one every Thanksgiving. So where do I get these things that I use but do not grow or make on my farm? I buy them just like everyone else. I take my extra produce to sell at the farmer's market once or twice a week. That is where I earn some of my money. Earn means to get something by working for it, remember? Today, I will take beans, tomatoes, corn, and eggs. Come along, let's see how business is at the market today. Goodness, there are a lot of people here today. I just backed my pickup truck under the tent and opened up to the tailgate, and before I knew it, I had a line of people waiting to buy my fresh produce. Do you remember what produce is? After I've sold all my goods, I think I will wander around and see what the other farmers have to offer. There's Barry the beekeeper over there. He has jars of dark, rich honey made from his very own bees. I bet he will trade me a big jar of honey for 2 or 3 dozen eggs. Yum. I see Mary the flower lady too. She brought zinnias, daisies, and sunflowers from her flower farm. I'll buy a bouquet for Mrs. McDonald before I go to the supermarket for some other things that I need. Look at this supermarket. All the food in the supermarket. There are so many choices. I can't even begin to count all the different types of breakfast cereals or canned fruits and vegetables. They also sell beef, chicken, pork, milk, eggs, juice, yogurt, noodles, cheese, crackers, and many, many other things. Whenever I go grocery shopping, I can't help but think about the fact that nearly everything got its start on a farm. All grocery stores have a canned food aisle. These cans come from canning factories where farm produce is packed into metal cans or glass jars and labeled so that you can tell what is inside. This man is loading boxes of canned goods onto a truck. A few months ago, the food in these cans was growing on a plant somewhere in a farmer's field. Now it is in a can on its way to the grocery store. There is really no telling where it will end up now. For all you know, it could wind up in your belly. Here is another place where farm produce is processed for use in other foods. Have you ever seen so many apples? I work hard just to grow a few dozen apples to take to market. I can't imagine trying to grow so many of them, but some farmers do. These apples were harvested a few days ago, but the farmer had to wait for a truck driver to come and pick them up and drive them to the processing plant to be washed, sorted, processed, and packaged, and then trucked off to the grocery store. Some of these apples will probably be sold at the grocery store in the produce section so that you can munch on one. Can you think of other ways that apples are prepared and eaten? Look at all these different ways. Here are just a few foods made from apples. How many have you tasted and eaten? Did you get them at the farm or at the market? I love apple juice and applesauce. Yummy. All right, where do many of the items that you buy in the grocery store come from? Where do these all come from? They come from farms, right? How do canned foods get from the canning factory to the store? Do you remember? What picks up all those cans? A big truck. Now, do you remember what is another word for processed? If the wheat has to be processed, it means it is prepared into flour. All right, think for a minute. I'm going to ask you some questions. You can pause the video to answer. What are some of the ways that produce from farms can be saved to be eaten later? What are some ways we could save it and eat it later? If you said by the refrigerator or canned, you're right. Why do farmers need to go to the grocery store? Why do farmers need to go to the grocery store? They can't grow every single thing that they need, right? So they go to the grocery store to get things that they need as well. How do farmers earn money? How do they earn money? If you said by selling products from their farm, you're right. Pat yourself on the back. Which happens first? Crops such as apples are taken to a canning factory or they are harvested. Which happens first? They have to be harvested, right? All right, which job would you rather have? Planting and harvesting crops on the farm, transporting the crops to the factory or store, or selling the produce at the grocery store? Pause the video and tell me which job you would rather do. All right, in our story, we heard the sentence, unlike fresh fruit and vegetables, canned food will not spoil. It will remain edible for months and even years. Say that word with me. Spoil. Spoil. That means to rot or go bad and not be good for eating. Some food kept in the refrigerator so that it will not spoil, and some food is canned so that it will not spoil. Are there things that your family does at home so that food will not spoil? Pause the video and talk about it with whoever you're watching this video with. All right, thumbs up and thumbs down. I am going to read you guys a couple of sentences, and I want you to think if it will spoil or if it will not spoil. Listen carefully. An apple that is left on the teacher's desk or an apple kept in the refrigerator. Which one would spoil first? An apple on the teacher's desk would spoil first. Good. Canned tomatoes or tomatoes in a basket on a table. Which would spoil first? How about this one? Milk left on the table or milk that's kept in the refrigerator? How about this one? Corn left outside or canned corn? Last one, pumpkins that are harvested and canned or pumpkins left in the field? Great job, students. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about from farm to market and what happens to all this delicious produce that farmers spend days and weeks and months preparing for all of us at the grocery store. Hope you've had a great time listening to all these different lessons. Your next thing will be your Unit 5, Lesson 5 assessment. So keep an eye out for that on Seesaw. See you guys next time.